And then on to our final task here for this module on configuring servers, which actually has me scratching my head a bit and thinking about what exactly Microsoft was thinking in including this topic as part of the 70-410. Now, PowerShell desired state configuration is a fantastic solution that is exceptionally powerful in allowing you to create configuration documents for controlling how your servers are actually configured. In fact, I have a very simple configuration document that I'm looking at here that is configured here in PowerShell, or written in PowerShell. This configuration document uses the configuration keyword here against the name of the document here is server1 that I'm then executing down here in the bottom. The configuration is occurring against the machine server1, and all this document says is that when this configuration is executed, make sure that the DNS server feature is present on the machine. Now, the neat part about desired state configuration is that unlike the imperative model, which is what we've been doing for the entirety of our configuration up until this point, PowerShell DSC is not so much interested in telling a machine to do something, as opposed to telling it to be something. This seems like a very subtle difference, but in fact it can be exceptionally powerful in how you end up managing your machines. With PowerShell DSC, instead of entering in commands to tell a machine to make a change to a configuration or adjust one number to another, you instead configure a document that identifies what the server should aspire to become. In this case, what that server1 should aspire to become is a DNS server. Now, obviously, this doesn't get us very far because it doesn't go into any of the configurations of DNS. It doesn't do any of the other variety of things, networking configurations or Windows Update configurations that you would commonly associate with a Windows box. But what it does provide for you is a mechanism to control just the items you're interested in controlling. The cool part is that once you've created a configuration and then executed against a machine using this command start DSC configuration, you can then use that as a mechanism to keep only the items you care about under control. There's another PowerShell command that here called test DSC configuration that I would at least be aware of for this point in time. Because it's the adjunct to starting a configuration. You can test a configuration using it. What makes this topic confounding as a part of the 70-410 is that the level of experience that's necessary with Windows PowerShell, and even with configuring a Windows operating system, is probably far beyond where you're at least at this point in your certification path. Now, I say this because Microsoft reintroduces DSC as a possible testable item in the last and final exam in the MCSE curriculum, the 70-414. And in fact, just recently here for Pluralsight, I've taken the opportunity to go through a much more detailed explanation of the foundations of PowerShell DSC that instead of really spending a lot of time here in discussing a topic that may perhaps be just too complicated for where we are at this phase of the game, instead, I'd like to point you to a different course in the PowerShell library where you can go to get more detailed information if you're interested in learning about it. For the 410, I'd be aware of those couple of PowerShell commands, the start and test DSC configuration. But if you're instead interested in just a little bit more detail about how DSC can function, may I direct you to this course called Windows Server 2012 R2 70-414 Server Infrastructure. And very specifically down here, the very last of the modules in this course, down here at the bottom, from here all the way down to here, are a list of various clips that I've put together that describe in a little greater detail how to implement a PowerShell DSC solution. I direct you here, as opposed to talking about it here in this course, in part because I don't want to confuse you for your studying for the 410, but to also provide you a link for where you can go should you be more interested in learning about Windows PowerShell and DSC. Again, DSC is a fantastically useful solution, and you may find yourself using it here in the not-too-distant future. But at this point, you might just spend some time understanding what the basics of it are without getting yourself too overwhelmed with the detail.